Ladies and gentlemen, boys and girls, collectors of all ages, we are live and in living colour. It is Aussieverse. I am OmniBeau, joined by SingleIssue Steve, and he is back, ladies and gentlemen. He had such a great time last time, I'm assuming, because he asked to come back on. It is Mr. Phillip Russertt. How do I say your last name? I don't know. Russertt, okay. And he is here to talk about his latest Kickstarter, which is not just a single issue, not just a graphic novel. It is a freaking omnibus, baby. Yeah.
What you gonna do, brother?
So pumped, man. So pumped to have you back on the show. Thank you for coming.
Thanks, I appreciate it. Yeah, I had fun the first time. I definitely wanted to come back.
Yeah, thank you for joining us. Mate. And James Abel, you beautiful
Morning,
man.
James. I should say good evening,
Phil,
James.
What's been going on since the last time you joined the show?
A lot. Besides the Omnibus, which we'll talk about, publishing other people from other countries, campaigns up the wahoo, and the big thing is the distribution that's coming. And I'm surprised at how many publishers are onboarding with me to do distribution across North America. And a couple of big names are looking to come on board too. So I'm excited. It's going to be either a breakout year or a year where I just really cry and hide.
Well, if you don't risk things, you don't get things. That's what
I always tell my kids, make yourself uncomfortable. That's the only way you grow.
Yeah, exactly right. I do need to put a disclaimer out there that the background, I am moving house, everybody. I'm moving house in about a week or so I don't know what that means for Aussieverse in the interim. We'll try to not have anything stall or go away. I do know that Steve and Sharif are going to be trying to do some things on their own, hopefully, which is why I have this makeshift background. We do want to say a big, massive thank you to our 4 lifers. Thank you very much for being our paid members. Without you guys, the show would not be as good as we could possibly make it. For everybody else that is out there, you do not need to be a paid member. It is definitely not required. The best way to support Aussieverse is by being a subscriber, sharing the videos and commenting, liking, and all of that other jazz that YouTube wants you to do. So thank you very much to everybody joining us today. We are also sponsored by Comic Bookaroo, and we'll have a word from them very, very soon. Phil, where do you want to start, brother?
Wherever you want to go. You're the man. Okay. You're the host.
Well, let's talk about the Kickstarter first and foremost, shall we?
Yeah. Sure.
What made you decide to do an omnibus and what is inside it?
Okay, so I've been publishing for about 4 years now, and believe it or not, it's nowhere near what I would like to have published, but, finances are tight. We've done 15 books. And 15 issues, I should say, and like 4 or 5 different titles. And there were some people that were waiting for a collected volume to get everything in one shot, which really is economically more viable if you think about it. Because, Kickstarter, you can't charge just a $5 floppy, unfortunately. You have to charge more. So if you add up 15 issues times the $15 or whatever, it gets pricey. And I understand. So a lot of people are like, well, I'll wait. If you're going to do an omnibus, I'd love to collect that. So I was like, all right, let me do an omnibus. And, it's 420, it'll be 428 pages actually, now that we formatted it. And, for the price that you pay for this compared to what you would have paid if you were doing all the campaigns, it's just more easier for people to handle. And some people like just a collected volume, all one shot, put on your bookshelf. As you guys know, look behind you, the beautiful displays you have. So.
Yeah, there's nothing more than we like at omnibuses. We've even sucked Steve into buying some recently, and he's getting a little slow collection.
Yeah, but you're going to go against his name. What are you doing?
It's funny because I don't actually collect single issues.
No. There you go.
I've told him to change his name to Not So Single Issue Steve.
Yeah.
He hasn't done it. So here we are at the campaign. For everybody that does want to check this out, there's a couple of ways you can do it. You can either click, we can either type all this monstrosity into your browser, or you can click the link that is in the description. Or the best way to do it is go to Kickstarter yourself and just simply type in Philbo Publishing. And I'm sure this will come up because that's exactly what I did So let's take a look at this video. Before I do press play, Phil, is there music in this video? Because YouTube is very, very crap.
Anal.
It is, but it's not going to ding you. It's free domain music, so it's fine.
Let's have a look.
It's really 4 years, not 5.
5 sounds better.
Fantastic. Okay.
That's very cool.
Thank
For
you.
those that know nothing about Philbo Publishing, Phil, why don't you tell them a little bit about yourselves, where you got the name from, and why they should be buying your book before we scroll down?
Buy the book so my wife doesn't divorce me. That's the first reason. But I started publishing by really just doing my own single title, which was Tragedy. It was my flagship title in 2021. I was on my deathbed, to be honest with you. I was really ill. It was 6 weeks in bed, and it wasn't looking good. And I started writing. I was on 4 liters of oxygen, and I didn't look back. But I recovered, and through a lot of hard work. And then I just had all these other ideas pop in, so I started doing other titles. And I was like, you know what? Now I have to be a publishing company, because I didn't really feel like a publisher just putting out one comic, you know. But now that I'm putting out multiple titles, it's like I'm a publishing company. And then I started having people from other countries asking for me to manage their crowdfunding, etc. So we became more legitimate publishing company. Why it's called Philbo? I'm a huge Lord of the Rings fan, and I have huge, huge feet. And I have hairy feet. And my wife calls me Philbo Baggins. So because my wife and my kids are the most important things in my life, I like to amalgamate them with the second most important thing in my life, which is the publishing company. So I named it Philbo. My company's Philbo Entertainment Promotions, with a few subsidiaries, Philbo Publishing being one of them.
Fantastic. So this is 418-page hardcover.
Actually, 428. When I did the campaign, I was wrong. It's 428.
There you go, an extra 10 pages then.
Awesome.
So tell people, go through this one by one. What is Tragedy?
Tragedy is my flagship title. It's an ongoing series, but the first 6 issues are in this omnibus. It's been well reviewed by Peter David, Howard Mackey, and Chuck Dixon. I get major artists, like that's an Ian Churchill cover, which has actually been recolored. We got Bill Sienkiewicz covers, David Mack, Chris Picciolo, a lot of big names, Will Spatasio, etc. And it's basically about an Irish assassin, a female Irish assassin in Manhattan, and she's struggling with her own inner demons. I never met a woman that knew how beautiful she was, how strong she was, how great she was, right? We all, I don't mean this in a bad way, but all of us men who have wives, girlfriends, they struggle with insecurity a lot, and we try to be there for them if we're good men, right? So I wanted to create a character that was more real, because these days they're writing women as flawless, and I think that's insulting. So I wanted a character that was dealing with all of these issues while facing these external threats. Because if you really think about it, all of us can relate to that. Our strength isn't that we win every fight, it's that we're in every fight. You know, how many days do you want to just curl up in the fetal position and not face the day when the alarm goes off? But you do. And that's your strength. That's what makes you a hero, is that you get up and you do it every day, especially if you're like someone's relying on you, a parent, a child, whatever. You're facing that adversary, that struggle whether it's inside or external, every day, because what other choice do you have? You get busy living, you get busy dying. So this is a journey of her. Her life was stolen from her. A sociopath basically adopted her. She's became an assassin in the mafia, Irish mafia, and it's basically her journey into finding who she is, discovering who she is, and becoming a hero. But while she goes through that, it's kind of like Big Trouble in Little China meets the Boondock Saints. There's mafia and assassins, and there's Chinese mysticism, and there's superpowered beings, and there's vengeful cyborgs, and there's monsters, and it's fun. And on the surface, you may think, oh, just another vigilante hero. You could not be more wrong.
Beautiful.
Like the whole concept just sounds. I like the Chinese mysticism stuff. So the whole Irish blend with the Chinese mysticism and stuff. It's a really interesting concept. Where did you sort of come up with that as an idea?
Well, I'm an Irish American, and you don't see a lot of Irish characters. I mean, you got Daredevil and stuff, but they always go the Catholic route and stuff. I didn't want to go that route. I thought it was too cliche. And I love Asian culture. I love Japanese culture, and I love Chinese culture. But Japanese culture is the one always getting the attention. So I wanted to go with Chinese culture. Hey, Kashawn. Kashawn is inking some of the tragedy issues. He's currently wrapping up inking issue 10 for me. Great guy. If anybody's looking for a great inker, please reach out to Kashawn. You won't be disappointed. Great person, and I'm so happy to have him part of the Philbo world, and I appreciate him. So I don't know. She's kind of a little bit my wife, and I guess there's a little of me in there. And the Irish was because of that. And I don't know. I just kind of the clash of the two cultures that I really enjoy getting, because there's also some Irish characters in here, Celtic assassins and stuff like that. And we hit other nationalities, Russians and Italians, and everybody talks about diversity in comics. I'm just about writing a good story. And when you write a good story for the sake of story, it's only natural to have other cultures in there, because that's what the world is. There's nothing forced, right? It is just what it is. So I'm very proud of that there's no pushing an agenda. There's no forced diversity. It's Manhattan, it's China, and this is where all these people are, and just culture clashes, and it's just fun, and I really love it. And Ricardo Silva is the interior artist. Chris Sotomayor, who's a major colorist for Marvel, DC, Dark Horse, etc., is doing the interiors as well. So I work with great people. I get all the credit, but I'm like the quarterback who gets the credit where the line is protecting me every day.
Yeah. And just before we move on to the next one, mate, the design of the character, the concept's really cool. What were sort of influences for the design of the character?
So it's funny because I was starting to get sick, and I didn't know what was going on. And this vision of this character popped in my head. Just boom, it was in my head. And I was like, that's interesting. And then I just let it go by the wayside. I didn't bother. And then I got really sick. Like I said, I was in bed, and I was like, all right, let me do something with this. So I reached out to Ricardo Silva, who at the time I was an art rep. I was repping him, and I asked him to do the character design, and I gave references, and to the T, I told him what I wanted her to look like. And Ricardo just knocked it out of the park. She looked perfect. I think it was one edit. And this is a cover by Ian Churchill, who it's my favorite rendition of her, actually. And the colors and everything just came into my mind. And it's funny because it wasn't conscious, but red is a color that attracts the eye the most. And a lot of people don't do a white and red, right? They're all black or they're all red or whatever. And I liked it. And if you look subconsciously, again, it's a mixture of American military and Japanese and Chinese armor, all mixed together, like her shoulder plates, her gauntlets, and then you look at her combat boots, and you look at her holsters, gun holsters. So subconsciously, it just popped in my head. Everything from the tail blade too.
I love that ponytail. That is so cool.
Thank you.
It very much reminds me of in their Warhammer 40k universe with the elves, or known as Eldar or Eldari, as they're called now. There's actually a special performing group called Harlequin. So not like Harlequin from DC, but they're acrobats and all that sort of stuff, and that's what they use in combat. And she reminds me very much of a character called a solitaire, which is kind of like an assassin. So it's very cool. It's a really cool concept.
Yeah, and I gave her that's the tragedy theater mask, because as you can see, she was a ballerina as a child and loved theater, and her life, it's tragic. But what people don't understand is the whole point of this story is, what do you do with the tragedy? Do you let it consume you and take you over and make it the excuse? Or are you who you are because of something or in spite of it? And that's what this whole story is going to be about. And it's an ongoing, and I've written 39 scripts, and I have stories so far through 75, but I do know what the ending is going to be. I know what the final story arc is going to be and how this whole thing is going to end and wrap up someday. So
I love hearing that.
And she has an adversary that has a power no one's ever used in American comics.
Oh, well, that's intriguing.
Yeah, you find out what it is in issue 2. I mean, I'll spoil it if you want me to.
Hey, it's your call, man. I don't know. Yeah, I don't know if that's a good idea or not.
Well, I look at it this way: you're either going to want to buy the book, or you're not. And whether I spoil that or not, people probably figure they are or they aren't. So I don't know. You know, it's funny. I'm very good friends with Billy Tucci, and I live 5 blocks from him. And he owes me a She Tragedy crossover cover. So it's funny that you said that. But yeah, I mean, if they want in the chat, tell me if you want me to spoil it. I'll spoil what the guy's power is. I'm so confident it's never been used in American comics that I've even offered, if anyone can find an American comic prior to my launching of Tragedy in 2021 that shows that same power used that way, I'll give him a free issue.
All right, you're going to have to tell us now. You're going to have to tell us now. So
the Breath of the Dragon, he has an armor that's made of baronium, which is my adamantium in this world, because he's a very amazing fighter, okay? You know, like Deathstroke, the Terminator kind of level. And one gauntlet has, the gauntlets are dragon mouths, and his hands come out of the dragon mouths. Yeah, I wish. One gauntlet has a flamethrower, the other one has a poison gas. But he has this armor on because he's always in proximity of you. Why? Because if he's in proximity of you, he can read your future 3 to 5 seconds. So he knows what you're going to do before you do it. You can't beat him. Oh. See, I like my heroes. I get so tired of the heroes getting their ass kicked by the bad guy in the middle of the movie, and by the third act, just because they're angry or whatever, they win. Like, look at the Spider-Man movie with the 3 Spider-Mans. Willem Dafoe was so good in the middle of that movie when he finally went into Green Goblin mode. Aunt May gets it. He destroys everything. He messes everybody up. You're like, yeah, this is what I want to see. And then by the third act, Peter's pissed off and he beats him. It's like, what the hell is that? If I went up against a prize fighter right now, it doesn't matter how motivated I am, I'll get my ass kicked. And I like that she has villains that she can't beat, but she has to find ways around it. Or the fact that even though she knows she's going into a losing situation, she's like, look, I got to fight. I'm not backing down. I got to go. I got to do this. You know?
Yeah, I like that a lot. All right, so moving on now, we have Dynamics. What's this one? So that's based on my family with superpowers, actually. It's an all-ages book. Some people, I think, mistook it for just being for kids. It's not. When I say it's all ages, it's classic superhero fun and action. I just don't throw language in there, and there's no sexuality, and there's nothing that your kids are going to question, like, you know, what does that mean? Or there's no innuendos to draw adults in. It's just a fun family book, and that's me with the dad bod there. And it's got humor, it's got heart. It's basically the dynamics of a family unit with dynamic powers. And the youngest is my daughter, who's feisty like me. She's a little feisty Irish girl. You know, she'll give you the shirt off her back or her foot in your ass. It's all up to you. And
she's super strong in the book, and she's going to be the strongest character in my universe. Like, she's my tragedy universe. This is my, I'm a big mouth, as you could tell, so I have a sonic scream. My wife is into nature and everything, so she's actually the most powerful of us all, but she doesn't realize it yet. My mother is kind of like Karnak, where she sees the weakness in everything, and she's an excellent fighter because she's 70-something. I thought it'd be fun. And my oldest daughter is super fast. She's Whiplash. And it was great because my daughters kind of joined in on this. My youngest, at the time when she was 5, she made up some villains. And I actually incorporate them in the story. And it makes sense why they're in there. And it was just great to bring my family in. I have some great storylines. I've written the first 6 issues. I'm actually looking forward to moving forward with this more. But it's a good book too. Like, if you want your kids into comics, because how many times do they say it's a kid's show, you put it on, and then there's an innuendo that you have to explain to your child, or that you're like, my 8-year-old is listening to this. None of that is in there. But adults aren't going to be bored, like a Pixar, like The Incredibles, Power Pack. So it's a good jump on to get your kids to read comics, or get your kids to read with you, and you can enjoy it too.
I like how you've incorporated your family into it, mate, because, as the years go by, that they can look back on this really, really fondly and go, we helped Dad write this. We came up with concepts that Dad's put into a visual medium. It's very cool.
Well, I wanted to immortalize my family. We don't. Again, I was really sick, and we were lucky that I made it. And I don't know. I just wanted to leave something. So and it's fun. And it just works with us because you write from what you know. I know our personalities, and and being a father, I mean, if anybody out there is a father or a mother, like the silly stuff of just trying to get out the door with the kids, or whatever. So it all that stuff. Now imagine your kids are acting up and they have superpowers on top of it. It's fun.
Yeah, that's cool.
So how many issues of Dynamics are in the Omnibus?
Just the first one, because we haven't continued that yet. My focus has been a lot of other things, but I'm actually starting issue 2 now with Lou Mana, who is he did Thunder Agents, Phantom, and Legion of Superheroes back in the day. So it's gonna be fun.
Oh, great. Okay. And then next we have Withered.
Withered started as a short story in a short story prose book I did, and I really like the concept.
I remember you telling us about this last time, and I really wanted to read it. That's right, yeah.
Yeah, I think I sent it to you. So when you get the chance, read it. I sent it to you.
Okay, yeah, you sent me a lot, and I've read like 3 or 4 things, I think. And you know what? I don't think I ever went back and read the other ones. I'm so sorry.
That's okay.
But I really want to read this one.
It's all right. You're mean. You're horrible, and I'm really hurt. But it's all right. Yeah. So Withered, I'm proud of too, because I think it's a concept nobody's ever done before, and I don't try to force these things; they just pop into my head, So basically, the short story leads into this book, but you don't have to read the short story, but it does enrich the whole thing. So I put the short story in the omnibus. Withered is basically, we always ask, why is the world so crappy? Why is God letting things be so crappy? Why is it so hard? So God's not in charge. Time is not a construct of the human mind or a measurement. It is actually this omnipotent, malicious, malevolent being that defeated God and imprisoned him and is slowly satiating itself off our life essence. That's why we're not in paradise, and that's why we grow old, we wither, and we die, because this thing is slowly consuming us like cattle. And the devil is its right-hand man, but he kind of has his own plans. He's got his own schemes, kind of Game of Thrones-y kind of thing. And there was a great war, and 3 of the 7 archangels are left. The other 4 are dead. Or oblivion, they're destroyed, and the angels were decimated. So Archangel Michael, Archangel Raphael, and Archangel Gabriel go down to Earth, and they're recruiting people on their deathbed that have been shown strength and faith through their life, no matter how hard it got. And they're making them angels before this thing consumes them and takes them from Earth. and they're recruiting them to fight this war. But of course, these are humans acclimating to being angels. And that means they still have separation anxiety from their families that they left behind. They don't know how to do combat. Getting back to what I said with tragedy, in the first issue of Withered, he goes up against one lone demon, and it almost kills him because it's fast, it's strong, it's vicious, it's nasty, it has no conscience. And just because he now has a sword and armor and wings doesn't mean he's badass. He almost gets his ass killed. It's very emotional because he escapes he wins by the skin of his teeth, and the motivation is if he dies and they don't win, his family gets consumed by this thing. They're gone. He's fighting for their souls, So, but there's a dichotomy too, because Archangel Michael doesn't know what it is to be human, and God is his father, his mother, his love, right? So Archangel Michael wants to save God, where Joshua, who is the human protagonist that becomes an angel, he's from the short story that comes in here. He's fighting for his family and God. And Michael doesn't understand his attachment to his family. And he keeps telling them, you've got to let them go. We have this mission. He's like, no, I'm not letting them go, or you're missing the whole point of why we're doing this. So they have this little bit of a clash over those motives because Michael doesn't understand what it is to have that human love for someone and attachment. So it goes into family. It goes into that. It's horror. It's sci-fi. It's fantasy. And there's some powerful moments. I've written the first 6 scripts, and the next story arc will go into Satan's fall. He likes to be called Beelzebub. He does not want to be called Lucifer because Lucifer was his angel name. Later on, it gets into the fight gets so severe that they get desperate. They start recruiting other gods. Like Satan recruits Hela and Hades, and they don't get along because they all think they're the ruler of hell. But there's really the fallen is Satan. He's the big bad mamma jamma. So, and then there's Egyptian gods. There'll be Indian gods like Vishnu and Gaia, and there'll be all these gods coming in. And on Earth, they'll unleash demons, and some of the demons will be vampires and werewolves. It's just balls to the wall, crazy, throwing every freaking thing that you can throw in there, but it all will make sense.
Phil, that's such a fascinating concept.
Thank you.
I've never heard of anything even remotely like this. I need to get my hands on this and read it. This is very cool.
Well, as Bo will tell you, I'll give you the first issue as a gift for hosting me on the show. So I will send the PDF to you.
Oh, thank you, mate. I'll look forward to reading that.
Alan, I am glad you're not asleep, and I'm glad that you are joining us, just like everybody else here.
Yes, thank you. Appreciate it. To everybody who's here, actually.
Next up, we have Diary of Dread, which looks very, very familiar, doesn't it? And I'm sure that is on purpose.
Yeah, so Diary of Dread is, obviously, it's an homage to EC Comics and Creep Show and all that stuff. I'm sorry. Hang on. Oh, shoot. I forgot. I'm sorry. I'm live on a live stream. I'm sorry.
Philbo's talking to his inner conscience.
Sorry, that was my wife. She just got home from work, and I made a boo-boo. So, yeah, on Valentine's Day. So I'm going to have to make that up to her. Anyway, so the 5 full stories in here in the vein of Creep Show and those stories, horror, and the storyboard artist for Creep Show read it and loved it and said the last story actually disturbed him. So,
oh wow,
I've had people tell me that there must be an inner psycho in me. It's an anthology. It's 156 pages, but all 5 stories are in the omnibus, and it's 5 separate self-contained horror stories that have twists that nobody has seen coming yet. Nobody has guessed the twists in the first story, especially, which is my favorite, 39 Cedar Lane. Yeah, exactly. Well, my wife is so awesome that she just rolled her eyes and walked out and smiled. And she's so awesome that because she worked tonight, we can't have a Valentine's Day. she wanted to go out tomorrow night, and she wants to go to a steak dinner and go see the new Captain America movie. So I'm a pretty lucky dude.
She's a keeper.
No chick flicks for me. And she's an artist, really talented artist. And I'm not saying this because I just screwed up and I'm making points because she can't hear me right now. So, and then there's, so the horror stories really getting a lot of great reviews. We've sold a lot of this book, this magazine. It's magazine size, but we've resized it. Yeah, and she's paying. We resized it to comic size format to fit for the omnibus. So
awesome.
My wife is younger than me and she looks like a supermodel. And I mean, she literally is. She's gorgeous. And people go, "How did you get her?" And I go, "Duct tape and chloroform in a black van with no plates." And then I just walk away. And then people look at me, the head tilts like a confused dog, like, huh?
And then last, but definitely not least in the Omnibus is the one that I have read, the one that got me meeting Phil in the very first place because of a character named D.M. Ray, who is coming on the show tomorrow at the same time live talk about his Kickstarter. D.M. Ray introduced me to Phil and said, "You have got to check out Arcane Syndicate. It is right up my alley," and boy, was he right. Tell them why this one is in my opinion, a standout.
Thank you. So I don't like to use other characters, right? I like to create my own, but I came up with so many storylines that they wouldn't have worked as well if I didn't take these classic monsters. And I ran it by my wife. I know, right? And my wife is very honest. She's a sweetheart, but she can't lie worth a damn, which is great. And that's why I run everything by her. And she was like, "I don't know, going with them, I don't know if it's a good idea." So I wrote the first script and she loved it. So I do different things with these characters. I know that you have creature commandos and all these other things, but this is totally different. On the surface, it may not look different, but it is. So you have these characters, as you can see who they are there, working for a government agency, the Global Protector Agency, which deals with supernatural threats that are a threat to the world's existence. So these are really large threats. Now, I do a lot of different things. Like Frankenstein's monster is actually a descendant of Dr. Frankenstein, who's dying of cancer. And through black magic and science, he transplants his body into this Frankenstein's monster. So he has the intelligence of his intelligence, while the strength and durability of Frankenstein's monster leading the team. Dracula, Vlad the Impaler, and Nosferatu all exist in this world, and they all think the other vampires are the imposter and the fraud, and they want to wipe out each other. And you don't know what Dracula's motives are to be on this team, because he's kind of the Magneto arrogant one who thinks he's better than everybody, and he's always at odds with Frankenstein's monster. Vlad is more military, knight, militant, very organized, and Nosferatu are very feral, and he has legions of them. So there's this great vampire war that's brewing. The Phantom of the Opera has this really cool, I designed it all, I was so happy, but like a guitar keyboard that through arcane magic, when he plays, it creates spells for them. So he's their bard, their magic user, etc. And then the Invisible Man, you don't know his motives. Is he a double agent for the government and for the team? What's he up to? If you ever saw the original Frankenstein movie in 1930s, he drowns a little girl. Issue 2, she comes back as a vengeful spirit, possessing the other ones to try to kill Frankenstein's monster. They're going to go up against the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse. A vampire gets hold of the Necronomicon, and that rules the dead, and vampires are undead. So that's not a good thing. Man, they're going to deal with limbo, ghosts, other vampires, werewolves, the Wolfman's in there, government espionage, everything. And like I said, the 4 horsemen of the apocalypse, demons, the mummy, they have to go to limbo in the next story arc. I already wrote the first 6 issues. They go to limbo after that. So it's just, it's a good blend of horror, superhero, action, sci-fi, fantasy, paying tribute to who these characters have always been with my new take on them. And I'm very proud of this book. I really think it's fun.
And it is. It really is. Frankenstein, I've always and the vampires I've always been fascinated with. And to have a team like this, it was I had to read it. I just absolutely had to.
And I'm going to be introducing Dr. Jekyll / Mr. Hyde, and him and Frankenstein are not going to get along. Yeah. They're going to vie for leadership of the team. So what happens when Mr. Hyde and Frankenstein duke it out? It's going to be fun. A lot of fun.
There's like an overarching story, but there's all these little inner stories and little clashes and things, as you just mentioned. It's going to be a really interesting read.
Yeah, thank you. Somebody just back. Thank you so much. And issue 1 is at the printers right now. We were delayed because when you look at the interiors, David River, my God, he just killed. The artwork is amazing, and February Ferdian, who did the colors, is amazing, and George Medina did the letters. So this is Tragedy that we spoke of earlier. That Were-Tiger, he's different because that's his true form, and he can turn into a human, and there's a backstory to explain that. So it's kind of the reverse, and that's him, Alexei. He's the head of the Russian mafia. I've been a fan of comics all my life. They saved me from a rough childhood. I've had a very violent life, very, very violent life. And comics saved me, kept me here, and really taught me what a hero is. Now, I may relate to the Hulk, but I want to be Superman. You know? And I love comics so much that they're not really written for me anymore. You know, the new comics, they're not. I'm older. They're not writing from what my generation is. So I wanted to write comics that I'm passionate about, that I'm excited about, because I remember how magical it was every week to go to the comic store, and it was like Christmas every week, and I want that again. So I try to put out books that give you that, not just the quality art, but the quality storytelling, because they go hand in hand, right? I mean, how many times have you picked up a book, the cover art was great, you look in the interior and you're like, oh, really? And it may have been a well-written story, but you couldn't get past the art. Or it's the art is amazing, and you're reading this going, oh my God, who wrote this? This is horrible. I didn't want that. I wanted it to be a good blend of both. And I think we've done a good job as a team. What I will tell you is I'm not going to tell you I'm a great writer. I'm not going to tell you what's great or what's not. I'm going to tell you, find out for yourself, but you have to buy the book to do that. And then you tell me.
Yeah. Well, I can back it up from what I've read, because, as you said before, the last time you were on the show, you sent me quite a few things, and I read a few of them, and I loved everything that I read. Absolutely, I did. And I hope everyone believes me with that, because the last thing I'm ever going to do is bullshit on my own channel and placate to an audience. I mean it. I'm never going to placate to a guest or an audience just so people buy their books. If I ever have a guest on the show and I for some reason don't like their book, I probably wouldn't go on the show. I wouldn't say on the show, I didn't like this, but I definitely wouldn't turn around and say, I definitely did like it and you have to buy it, because I think that's unfair. And if people buy it just because I've said to, then I don't want.
Right. Your credibility is important. Mm-hmm. I don't and that's why I think our books are good, because I don't want placaters. I surround myself with those friends that don't give a shit what you feel. Like if it sucked, they're not going to be delicate. They'll be like, no, this kind of sucks. And thankfully, I go to these people and they tell me it's solid. Exactly. I am not a slave to shareholders or some corporate person who doesn't know shit about comics and heroes. It's a passion play. I love this medium. I love all these characters. I love comics. And the fans, no matter how much they argue or whatever, they love it too. And that's why they get so passionate and angry or whatever. It's a love. That's one of my favorite pages we've ever done. Dialogue, the art. That's Vlad's introduction.
Well, no, even look at this panel right here where you've even got, because I remember you pointed this out last time, where you got the blood dripping down on the not the chair, the throne. Thank you.
And that's all David River. He decided to put that in, which is just freaking phenomenal.
Such great attention.
You've also really captured what I envisioned Vlad would look like. And there's that darkness, there's that strength, there's that fear. I think you've just captured it just in this page alone.
Well, he is a true historical figure. Obviously, the vampire legend started because he used to put heads on pikes to warn people who tried to oppose him. So I took his and this is why a lot of times this is what he looks like. We took his historical look, his actual look, and his brother Radu, which is right there. But we came up with the crown and the armor and his sword, as you can see with those bat wings. And David, I create all my character designs, but I have to tell you, David did little tweaks and added little things that I just made what I did even better. Fantastic. And February Frion's colors. I mean, look at that page. It's just gorgeous.
Yeah.
Now, let's go on to some rewards here. What can people get?
So I know people say, oh, God, $85, and I get it, but it's 428-page hardcover book. So they're expensive to print, especially when you're doing a low run for someone like me. And honestly, if it was a well-known company, you'd be spending $150 on this omnibus. So understanding that I'm not well-known, we tried to keep the price down as much as possible. You're getting 15 stories, 428 pages for the $85 in a hardcover. And it's only on this campaign. I'm not printing extras to sell anywhere else, and we're not putting this out. And there's a reason for that, which we'll get to later. It's not a money grab. It's because I'm going to monthly distribution with Tragedy, and I can't have this out there if I'm starting at number 1 again. So
yeah, makes sense.
And I originally did back this, but as we know, shipping to Australia is quite expensive. Now, in saying that. In saying that, though, the guy that you met last time, Sharif, does have a StatCry account in America, and that's how he gets his books sent over. So what I'm going to do is reback this, because I had to cancel it. I'm going to reback it, but get it sent to Sharif's StatCry. So that way I'm essentially paying what Americans can pay for. Which is
look, and I am so sorry. I wish I had control over that. It is expensive, but what I will tell you, and anybody who is international, I am happy to throw in a free gift like a metal print or a single issue or something to try to offset some of that shipping cost, that you get a little more for your buck. Because look, I know we all work hard at jobs, and most of us probably don't even like our jobs, and it's a struggle to get up every day. So when you're spending your hard-earned money on me and my dream, I want you to know that I sincerely understand the sacrifice and appreciation. There's so much other entertainment out there, and there's so many struggles financially out there. So if you chose to pick my stuff out of the vast amount of entertainment, that is humbling, and I'm honored, and I'm grateful, and I'm appreciative, and I swear to God that's as sincere as it gets, because I'm doing something I never thought I could do before, because people like you are taking that hard-earned money and throwing it my way. So if you have expensive shipping, I'm happy to throw in some freebies to try to offset that cost and give you a little more for your value.
Yeah, beautiful. That's really cool, man.
Yeah,
I've never changed the location of an address on Kickstarter before, but I have now, and I've changed it to America. Do you collect the addresses after, or I know sometimes they do that, or is it set up before?
It'll show me your address, and I can upload it to keep it. Yeah, I can, especially when I do fulfillment. So
I'll do that after the show then, just so I don't muck it up.
And just please, again, I don't want you to feel obligated. If you want to back it, I'm grateful, but I don't ever want anybody to feel obligated to back it. I just back it if you think it's something you'll like and you'll really enjoy it. that's really all I would ask.
Yeah. Well, look, man, at the end of the day, 1, it's an omnibus. 2, I've already read some of your work and I loved it. 3, I'm actually a fan of yourself because last time that we were here with you, we spoke for a very long time before and after the show as well. And there's, you have a lot of people on the show that I think I've liked everybody that we've ever had on the show, but there's a few people that do stand out to me that you just strike a friendship with, and you're definitely one of them. So I'm more than happy to back this.
I appreciate that. Thank you.
Troy said, well, I need to do the Taekwondo pickups. Thanks so much for a great stream. Excited for the Kickstarter and thankful I got in on time. Thanks, everyone. Thank you, Troy.
Thank you, Troy, very much. I appreciate you.
He's a good man, Troy.
We've got some extra stuff that you can get here. You have the Tragedy Sequential Art Edition. What's that?
So do you guys know what those IDW artist editions, have you seen them?
Yeah.
Yeah, this is my version. It's 11 by 17 hardcover, 190 pages. And what it is I don't want to sell the original pages to the book. And a lot of people were begging for that, especially the big name covers that I have. Like this is the Chris Picciolo, and there's a Bill Sienkiewicz, David Mack. So I put in a hardcover. Sorry, this is big. Like there's the David Mack on the inside, and then there's this, and we have our table of contents and everything, and then you have the first 5 issues of Tragedy, all the sequential art minus the letters, because we want you to appreciate the art, and then all the major names like Will Spatasio and Jose Luis and all of them, and Kevin West in the back. We did scans. These are scans of the original covers, so that you can enjoy the original pages and the art and not spend thousands of dollars. And we sold out of the first printing, so this would be for second printing on the campaign.
That's a beautiful book, Phil.
Thank you. Again, I'm taking pride because a lot of indie people aren't doing these things, and I am, and I'm working my ass off 7 days a week so I can afford to do this stuff. So I care about this. I really do. I care about good stories. I care about characters you can relate to. I'm an old school guy. I'm corny. I love Rocky. I loved the first Captain America where he jumps on the grenade. I love Christopher Reeve's Superman. Give me corny. Now, don't get me wrong. I like the dark stuff too. I can watch The Boys and all that. But it feels like it's all there is these days, and we've gotten away from what heroes are and the hero's journey and characters that you can really root for. And when they fall on their knees and they just want to lay down and quit, you know they're going to get up anyway.
Oh, Rob, thank you so much, mate. It's always a pleasure when you join.
Nice to see you, Rob.
So we've got the hardcover sequential art edition. We've also got the T-shirts. Who doesn't want a T-shirt?
People ask me for T-shirts, so I put them in. It's the first time I'm doing it.
I dig that. But the one thing that I did, which is coming up, you've got the publishing blanket. I hadn't seen this one before, actually.
I have one in my living room. I can ask my kid to bring it in and show you the actual blanket if you want.
Yeah, sure.
Hang on a second.
While you do that, to the glass set. Look at that. The 2-shot glass set.
How cool are they?
Yeah, man. I really dig that, Steve. We should get one and you have one and I have the other.
All right. We should do that.
Oh, yeah. Oh, Rob, dude, thank you so much, man. That's awesome. Rob has become a new member, a 4-lifer.
Nice.
Okay, he's still muted, so let's keep going. We also have stretch goals. Let's see here, the digital prints.
I'm sorry, we rushed home because they took forever.
These are locked. And
okay.
Got it?
Real quick, Papa, I had a very, I'm not going to get into it with my dad, a relationship, but it was strenuous at times. And my dad, hey, Kit, my dad was 77, bench pressing 165 pounds a day. He was a very hard, very tough man. I mean, I know a lot of people say that about their dads, but no, he was a friggin' beast, and he intimidated everybody, and he was just a very hard man. And we had finally gotten close about 3 years ago. And then he got a cancer diagnosis. And and he was battling the cancer, and he was doing fine. He was still bench pressing. He was doing his thing. And I wrote this story, Papa, which is a 110-page graphic novel that I didn't realize at the time was based on us. And my father loved it, and he asked if I could get it in his hands before he died. And unfortunately, it would be $15,000 to make this book, and unless it has tits on it, nobody's going to spend. I'm not going to fund $15,000. So my father passed away in April, but I still want to get the book going. I have 11 pages done. It's a tale that basically shows you the sacrifices that our parents make that we don't see. We don't understand what they're going through. We don't realize their struggles. We only see our own perspective of things. And it's about forgiveness, but it's also a tale of superhero at the heart, or, hero at the heart of things. And basically, this old man, world's passing him by, he's older, he's frail, he's slower. He's got a good relationship with his granddaughter, but not with his son. And he lives with his son. And let's just say that an external threat, which is in the form of this mob boss, comes in direct conflict with his family's well-being. And it's a tale of what would you do to protect your family. And I will get this book out if it's the last frickin' thing I do. In dedication to my father. So
I remember you spoke about this last time. Yeah, and it really touched me, to be honest.
It has a twist nobody sees in it either. Everybody tells me it's a great classic golden age tale of just true heroism, Rocky, all that good stuff. So I really want to get it out there. By the way, this is the blanket. It's too big for the screen, but it's all my covers. And it's really soft, and it's really nice, and I love it. And it's funny, I put it on me when I'm sitting down to write and keep my old ass warm. And it's a really well made blanket. It's not cheap crap. So
we have 6 days left to back this Kickstarter. Are you going to be doing late pledges, or I don't know how that works? I know that's a new thing with Kickstarter.
Yeah, it's a 3-week campaign. I have it on late pledge, but I don't think it's going to be very long on late pledge. I put it on late pledge because I understand I'm asking $85 for a book plus $10 shipping, and I know that some people may want it, but money's tight. So yeah, I'm putting on late pledge for a little while. I don't know how long it's going to be on though, like I said, because we're going to go to the distribution, and I can't have this going at the same time. So.
Yeah, I was only asking because as we spoke previously, I'm moving house, hence the weird background, and I'm spending a lot of money on moving house. So,
well, I mean, in all seriousness, for someone like you, worst case scenario, if you tell me you're definitely going to buy one, but you don't have the money by the end of the campaign, I'll print that book and have it waiting for you, and you just pay me via whatever, Venmo or whatever the hell you can do from Australia when you're ready, and then I'll send it to you. I'm not
dues.
Yeah, I'm not trying to swindle anybody. I'm not trying to look. A lot of people they purposely limit things so they can jack up the value. I'm not trying to do any of that. I want you to enjoy my stories. If I could afford to give away my stuff for free, I would. As you know, I've given you pretty much how many PDFs for free as a thank you. I want the stories out there. I really think people will enjoy them. I just want to share these things itching at my brain with the world. And I mean, I need to make money so that I can continue producing, because that's just the reality of the world. But I'm not trying to take advantage of anyone. So if you really want this book and you're struggling, talk to me. So.
That's awesome, man. Yeah, that's awesome. Yeah, definitely put me down for one. Definitely put me down for one. I think Sharif might be getting it as well. I'm not sure. I need to ask him. He was meant to join us today, but Sharif, the lucky guy, has just started a new job at a place that he used to be a customer at, and he's now working there. And it's just he's having a blast, and he's just absolutely loving it. And they called him in today, I think. So, sorry that you didn't get to see him, but yeah, I'm pretty sure he's getting one as well. Now,
well, if you are, both of you, if you want, like I said, after the fact, that way you can combine the shipping. I'll send them all to that same place, and you spend less on shipping. I'm not trying to rake people over the coals. I just want to enjoy this making comics, you know?
Yeah.
I need to get it too, Bo. We'll talk about you and I. We'll work it out.
Sure,
Okay.
sure.
You're right there, Steve. You had a late night. Did we?
No. Just a little bit of a frog in the throat. That's all. Hang on 1 second.
So Phil,
There we go,
okay,
it's better.
we've talked about the Kickstarter. All of Aussieverse, as far as we are concerned, is on board. Let's get talking about the next venture that you wanted to talk about. What's going on?
So we will have an official press release through Bleeding Cool and some other places soon. But so this is an unofficial announcement. As you all know, Diamond had filed for bankruptcy, and I knew this was coming. And I know I'm pretty confident I know what's coming next as well with that. And small guys like me, Diamond wasn't really giving us a shot anyway. You know, like if you're not, you know, the smallest they would go would be like Antarctic Press or whatever, things like that. But they weren't giving these individual creators a chance. Lunar is not giving anybody a chance. They're backlogged. They're now the new Diamond where they're the monopoly. It is what it is. Penguin House, unless you do 20,000, they're not picking you up, you know. So it's hard, and people are pigeonholed to just crowdfunding. And crowdfunding is being used as distribution for those who can't get in to distribution to stores. And I understand that, but I don't think it's a sustainable and viable outlet. So I'm an Irishman. We fight and we drink, and I don't drink. And you're not telling me I can't get in a ring. I use this analogy all the time. I'm okay with getting in a ring, and if you knock my block off and I just wasn't good enough, I can still hold my head up high, leave the ring, and say I gave it my best. But you're not telling me I'm not allowed in the ring, and there's too much gatekeeping going on, and that's a bunch of bullshit. So through a lot of hours, about 80 hours, I have got a list of every comic store in North America, Canada, and the United States. Every store. And it's legit. All the contacts, emails, phone numbers, addresses, everything. And I am going to be doing my own distribution on a small scale. And I am going to distribute that little guy that Diamond won't give a chance. I am not a gatekeeper. I am a distributor. I'm the mailman. It's not my place to act like a publisher and say, critique the art. Is it good enough? Will it sell? That's not what I'm here for, because I'm not greedy for my percentage. I have a creator-friendly percentage because the middleman has come into this industry and found a way to make all the money while the creators go broke and the comic stores close. And while those guys, they're burning them out and they're using them up and they're moving to the next one to do it too. So they're making all the money while the creators are dying. Readership is dropping. I had enough of that shit. So I have 10 publishers on board already. We have another 15 to 20. Billy Tucci's She is going to be distributed through me as well. And we are going to distribute with a very similar model to Diamond, but more creator friendly, where we'll have our digital previews catalog that goes out every month. Whether you have a monthly, a bi-monthly, a 6-issue miniseries, I'm not your gatekeeper. I don't give a crap. You're the boss of your own book. I'm just shipping them out to the stores. You're using me for my contact list of all the stores. But I'm also going to do a newsletter with the previews magazine to all the fans of the email list I've created, etc., to tell them, if you love She, if you love tragedy, tell your comic store to order it. So they order with confidence. We are going to be a community, even though it's my distribution, to get these indie books that deserve a shot out there, because I believe in the free market deciding. If your book doesn't sell, that's the people telling you it wasn't good enough. And those are the only people who should be telling you your book isn't good enough. Distributors shouldn't be telling you that. Period. Now, publishers do because they're investing, and I get that. Your investment has to be safe. So I understand publisher gatekeeping, but distribution has no business telling you no because we don't like the art. Fuck you. Excuse me. You know, really.
You're right.
So we are doing distribution. We will have a website. The LCS will sign up an account. They will order off there, and we will have the FOC, which is the final order cutoff, just like Diamond. And there's some minor tweaks, and we will be distributing Philbo distribution across North America. And it'll be a build because obviously comic stores have to get to know me and trust me, and we're building relationships right now as we speak. There's a lot of stores on board already. So this is a grind. And the only gatekeeping I have is you have to be ahead of schedule on your books already, because you have to meet this deadline. Because if you don't, it makes the distribution look bad. I don't care what your art is or your content, as long as you rate it properly, for legal reasons. But just make sure you can commit to the deadline that you sign a contract with me for. If it's monthly, you better make that monthly. If it's a 5-issue miniseries once a month, 5 months, you need to commit to that, and you need to be ready. You have to be professional, because this is a dog-eat-dog business. This isn't pipe dreams and lollipops, but I am providing an opportunity for people that isn't there right now. And I'm telling you, we're going to come out guns a-blazing. We're going to do this. If anybody who knows me knows you do it right or you don't do it at all. You've seen the products that I put out there. They're professional level, and I'm here to see creators win, which is something the industry has gotten away from.
I think somebody that we need to introduce you to is Australia's #1 online comic book store, sponsored of Aussieverse. That is Comic Bookaroo.
Comic Bookaroo, proud sponsors of Aussieverse for all your comic book needs. Graphic novels, hardcovers, omnibuses, single issues. Don't forget to pre-order every Sunday at Comic Bookaroo.
So, Phil, what's your hope with this venture? We can all guess, but you do give me surprising answers a lot of the time. So, if you had your business model, what's the end goal for you?
Well, my personal goal, obviously, is to get my stories out there and be successful as a publisher for myself and the people that rely on me to publish them. But for the distribution, and I mean this sincerely, I want comics to thrive and be a stronghold in pop culture again. I want readership back. Right now, I think the demographics have changed to collectors and investors, and they're great, and we need them too, but not at the detriment of readers. I would love to strengthen the readership again so that we have all collectors, investors, and readers, and then comics can truly be where they used to be. We're not selling like we used to. Even the biggest titles are not selling like they used to. I mean, Iron Man, when Sean Chen was on it, was not a great book, and it was still selling 900,000 copies. I mean, even the best Batman book isn't doing that. They're not. So I love this community for personal reasons, and I want to see readers come back. Manga is doing great with readership and fan following, and Western comics are not. And people are in denial, or they want to act like it's not happening because it's threatening their business model, their plan. But it is failing right now. And Diamond is a perfect example of failure, because they were not making enough money because they weren't selling as many books. Me, I'm doing this small scale, so I'm just doing a percentage that covers my expenses. My books are what's going to make me money, hopefully. I want to see you succeed. Even the people that I may not want to break bread with at my table, I don't want you to starve. You know what I'm saying?
Yep.
The world is cold. It's hard. It's cruel. I get it. I'm a grown man. I'm not foolish enough to think otherwise. But it doesn't mean that we all can't do our best to just make it a little easier.
Yeah.
And if I can build myself up and bring someone along with me that isn't there yet, why not? What is that? Is that really that hard? So that's my goal. I want everybody to succeed. I want us all to be sitting at a table and toasting one day that, son of a bitch, we did it. That's what I want.
That's a good goal to have. Okay. Anything else that you want to talk about, Phil?
No, you guys have been awesome. I know we've run over an hour. I'm sorry, but I really appreciate you having me on. I really enjoy being on this show. You guys, you're great guys and collectors, and you have the same love and passion. And I appreciate you giving me time to run my mouth.
Anytime, mate. We love you.
Absolute pleasure, mate. Enjoy your steak dinner in Captain America tomorrow night too.
Yeah, if she's not mad at me right now. She walked in and handed me the blanket. I was like, I'm so sorry. She was like, yeah, whatever.
coming up on Aussieverse tomorrow at the same time that Phil was on today. We have DM Ray coming back on the show to talk more about his next issue of Madcaps. That is another Kickstarter coming. We also have our weekly FOC show every single Wednesday. What else do we have coming up here? We have the Mac Brothers coming back on next Friday. They're going to be talking about their #1 issue of Anna comic that just went live on Kickstarter today. And we have Ben Lacey coming back on the show at 12 p.m. on the 22nd of February to talk about his Shark of War and Vicious Vixens and all that sort of stuff. And then lastly, I guess the other one we want to talk about is the same day at the 22nd at 11 p.m. Melbourne time, because it was very hard to organise. We do have a couple of representatives from Penguin Random House coming on the show to talk about things as well. So there is plenty coming. Tune in to Aussieverse. If you're not a subscriber, please do so. If you have any critiquing, please let us know, even if it's stuff we don't want to hear, because otherwise, how does Aussieverse grow? You can check us out right here at the link tree that has all of our socials. We want to say thank you to Comic Bookaroo. We want to say thank you to A51 Designs for making us look so fantastic. We also want to thank everybody out there that has stuck with us for an hour and 6 minutes, because we know how valuable your time is. You could be doing anything else today on a Saturday, spending time with the loved ones. Hint, hint, Phil. You could be watching another YouTube channel. You could be even going out and watching a movie, but instead you've decided to spend your time with us, and that means the absolute world to us. Phil, before we go, one last question, sir. Let's see how good your memory is. What is Aussieverse, brother?
For life! And tell DM I said hi, because tomorrow night's guest is a book published by Philbo Publishing.
Oh, really? Wow, there you go. Cool. We've got to have you guys both on the show one day, I reckon.
I don't like DM. I'm just publishing his book. No, I'm just kidding. I'm just kidding. He's a polite Canadian. How could you not like him?
All right, we'll catch you next time. Go to Kickstarter today and look up Philbo Publishing Omnibus to get an absolutely stellar book filled with so much variety, fantastic artwork, and great writing that has been officially welcomed. And what's the word I'm looking for? Where I'm saying it's really good. I was going to say from Aussieverse. Backed by Aussieverse? No, that's not what I'm trying to say.
Stamp of approval.
Recommended, stamp of approval, yeah.
Stamp of approval, recommended by Aussieverse. Thank you. Oh, I thought I was good at this hosting.
Thank you.
Thing, but sometimes I suck. Okay, we'll catch you next time, and everybody enjoy the rest of your weekend. Happy Valentine's Day in America, and I'm sorry to Philbo's wife.
Yeah, bye, everybody. Thanks.